What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love After Lockup Season 6, Episode 5, Gangster Prince Charming. So let's start off with that Gangster Prince Charming. He goes by the name of Julius. So Ashley and Julius finally get to meet. Julius shows up at her hotel room, and right from the get-go, y'all, the awkwardness of this whole entire scene was thick. It was so incredibly awkward watching these two people interact. So as he is at her door, she is yelling out his name, Julius, Julius, like at the top of her lungs. When she opens the door, they hug. The hug was very awkward. You could tell that Julius was immediately uncomfortable, and Ashley was just nervous. Her nerves were like, running amok. So, Julius talks about how she looks really different from what he expected, but he did say that she looked good and that she had a nice butt. So she keeps complimenting him, telling him how good looking he is, how sexy he is. She even goes as far as to say that he looks better than Chris Brown. He says that she was coming on way too strong because she was laying on the compliments way too thick. And he also said that she was really awkward and that she was also weird. And I think that Julius could probably sense that something could have been off with her mentally. And that's why he had no problems being very upfront and honest with her as far as the relationship really not going anywhere. Because I think that he could tell that there was something not quite right about Ashley. Because to me, when I look at Ashley, it's almost as if she's operating on the level of a 15-year-old, not a 31-year-old woman with kids. She really acted like a really giddy, nervous teenager. Everything about her is like operating on a much younger level. So he tells us that in his confessional, he talks about how he definitely prefers Alexis over Ashley. He said Alexis is way up here, Ashley somewhere down here. And so, he had, like I said, he had no issues telling her the what's up right away. He was not going to lead her on. He wasn't going to sugarcoat anything. He was not going to beat around the bush. He was upfront and honest with her from the very beginning. So the whole time that they're talking, they're sitting on the bed. The whole time that she's trying to have a conversation with him, he's busy on his phone texting. Like he could care less. Like he would rather be anywhere but there. She asked him if he really wanted to be with her because she could sense that he wasn't really trying to interact with her. He wasn't really trying to get to know her. This is the first time that they've ever met in person, and he was just not with it. He wasn't with the conversation or anything. And so she's like, do you even want to be with me? And he was like, be with you? Like, what? Be with you? What you mean? And so then Ashley says, well, aren't we in a relationship? And he was like, a relationship? Who said that? And so she gets so upset. She's so traumatized. She gets up and she walks out of the room. So she's outside in the hallway by the Coke machine, and she is like trying to understand like what is going on. She's like, he must have led me on because this is not the Julius that I was interacting with when he was still in prison. And she shows us messages of him telling her that he loved her, that he was going to be the man that she wants him to be, all these things, which was just prison talk. The sooner people can understand that if you're interacting with someone who's an inmate, especially if you met them while they were incarcerated and you didn't know them before they went in, whatever type of relationship you think you got going on with an inmate, it's just pretend. It's just for play. It's not real. And Julius said that. Because when she came back into the hotel room, she's acting all confused. Like, I don't understand why you're saying that we're not in a relationship. I thought, we were together. And he tells her, no, we're not together. And he tells her that you just built up this fantasy about what it was. And I'm here to let you know what the reality is, Ashley. And the reality is we're not together. We're not together. I don't want to be with you. That's the reality of it all. Whatever was going on in prison was just for play. He even tells us in his confessional, he says, whatever interactions that they had in prison, it was just for entertainment purposes only. Now, I have to give it to Julius. He kept it real. He kept it 100. If Ashley was operating on the level of a 31-year-old woman, I'm wondering if he would have continued to see her. And because he did talk about he wanted to keep his options open. He says, I don't know these women, referring to Ashley and Alexis. He says, I don't know these women. He said, I've never met these women a day in my life. The first time that I ever was around them was when I came out of prison. So in a way, he was like, not in a way, directly he was saying he was gonna keep his options open. So I'm wondering if Ashley was more of what he expected mentally. Maybe he would have continued to see her. Maybe he would have continued playing both women, seeing both women, and adding a couple of others on board as well, on top of adding some more onto the Julius train. Because I really do believe, y'all, that when he met her, he realized that something wasn't quite right with her. And that's when he was like, yeah, I can't do this. I'm not going to do this. This is going to be, abuse of the mentally not there. So I'm not going to be able to do this. He did admit in his confessional that he did lead her on, and this is when he said that, yeah, I did lead her on, but when you're in jail, it's just for entertainment purposes. Whatever goes on in jail, it's not really real, and that's just how the game goes. And so she did ask him point blank, is there somebody else? And he told her, yeah, there is somebody else. And then she had asked him earlier on, she had asked him if he wanted to go swimming, and he was like, no, I'm not getting in any kind of water. So when everything fell apart and she, realizes that he's not interested in her, he doesn't want to pursue anything with her, and in fact, he's got a whole nother woman, she was like, and you can't even swim. If I took you to the beach, you would drown. That's when it solidified it with me. It confirmed it with me that, yeah, Ashley, I don't know. Yeah, you probably need, I don't know if you need a caretaker or I don't know. Like, girl, why would a man go to the beach if he can't swim? If he has no interest in being in the water, why would he even he wouldn't even go to the beach with you, girl. It was just a very bizarre interaction. And so I have to give it up to Julius that, that he did the right thing and that he was blunt with her. He wasn't trying to sweet talk her or try to like talk out of the both sides of his mouth. He kept it absolutely 1,000 with her. And he was like, yeah, it's not, this is whatever you thought was happening. That's not real. I'm here today to tell you, Ashley, that I don't want to be with you and that we do not have a relationship and that there's nothing going on here. And so then he left and he was like trying to find that exit real quick. So side note, Alexis is definitely pregnant. The TikTok streets, and I'm pretty sure the Instagram and the Facebook streets are all talking about it. Alexis is definitely pregnant. I saw a picture of somebody was talking about it on TikTok, and they showed a picture of Alexis and Julius at a Walmart, I think, together, and the girl looks like she's about to pop, like she's gonna have that baby any minute. So she is definitely pregnant. Congratulations. I don't know. I guess. Congratulations. But I got to hand it to Julius for being upfront and real with Ashley. I did appreciate that. Moving on to Kiana and Damodrick. So Damodrick is finally out of the halfway house, and Kiana goes to pick him up. And so from picking him up from the halfway house, they go to Damodrick's father's barbecue. So Kiana has no idea that Jewel, which is Damodrick's baby mama or the mother of his children, she has no idea that she was also invited to the barbecue. So they get to the barbecue, the whole family's there. We meet Damodrick's father, we meet Damodrick's brother, his stepmom. So it's a great turnout, right? Now there's a scene where Kiana is in the kitchen with I think it was with Damodrick's stepmother. And the stepmother tells Kiana that, hey, Juella is going to be here. She was invited and she's going to come to the barbecue. Now, Kiana knew that Juella was going to come to the barbecue, but she thought that she was only going to come to the barbecue to drop off the children for Damodrick to see his sons. And then she was going to leave. She had no idea that Juella was going to actually stay at the barbecue. So Joella shows up with 2 out of the 3 little boys. I'm not sure why she didn't bring the youngest child with her. So The stepmom got on her case about not bringing the baby. Like, why didn't you bring the baby to see Damodrick, so on and so forth. And so Damodrick and Joelle, they're having a conversation about their children. It was a legit conversation strictly about their kids. Kiana sees them talking and she felt some kind of way about it. So she approaches them and she's like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? And Damodrick says, we're talking about the kids. And Kiana was like, oh, are the kids good? Do they need something to drink? And she was like already kind of like unraveling a little bit. And so then she leaves, and then she's actually trying to leave the barbecue because she's so upset that Joelle is there and that she saw Damodrick and Joelle talking. So she's like walking away. I don't know if she was trying to leave the barbecue or she needed just to take a step away or what was going on. Damodrick follows her and he's like, girl, what is the matter with you? And she doesn't really want to use her words and explain exactly how she's feeling or exactly what's bothering her. And so the Demodric is like, I don't know why you're getting upset because me and her are just talking about the children and you need to relax. You need to calm the hell down because she was sort of like acting out of pocket when nothing really was happening. She has to expect that Joelle and is that even her name? Am I saying it right? She has to expect that Joelle is going to be talking to Damodrick. They're going to have conversations because they're parents to the same children. So Kiana should have just kept it cool, calm, and collected. She should have greeted Juella. Hey, girl, how are you? How are the kids? Meet the children. And then keep it cool. You don't have to go crazy just because they're talking. They're parents to the same children. They're going to have many, many, many conversations. And you just need to like prepare yourself and relax. It's okay. So I don't know why Kiana felt threatened by Joella. I don't know why she wanted to act kind of crazy. The whole thing was stupid. Moving on to JK and Brooke. So Brooke takes JK. Oh, no, we're starting off at the halfway house. So Brooke had taken JK to the halfway house for him to get his affairs in order with the halfway house, not the halfway house, the parole office. So she takes him to the parole office for him to get all of that situated. And so she ends up waiting for him for 3 hours to come out. So she's getting upset. She's getting frustrated. She doesn't know if they ended up taking him in and they're not going to release him. Or they taking him back to prison? She had no idea what was going on. So after waiting for 3 hours, he comes out and he had nothing but good news. They extended his curfew until 7 p.m. and he can also go out on the weekend. So it was really good news. So after leaving the parole office, JK wants Brooke to take him to see his grandmother. His grandmother is very, very important to him, and it's really important that he gets to see his grandmother. So they drive all the way over to his grandmother's residence. When they approach the residence, JK tells Brooke, you wait outside while I go inside and talk to my grandmother. So obviously, Brooke is upset about this. Like, what? I waited for you for 3 hours in the parking lot at the parole office. I'm taking you to your grandmother's house and you're going to make me wait outside. I can't even come inside. So she's waiting outside. He goes in, talks to his grandmother, and then the conversation goes towards his ex. I think the grandmother brought up the ex because the ex is still very friendly and very close to JK's family. And the grandmother wants, I think she wants Alex, which is the ex-girlfriend, to get back with JK. She does not like Brooke. She doesn't see it for Brooke. And she wants her grandson to go back with his ex. So the grandmother brings up the ex, like, what's going on between you and Alex? And JK tells his grandmother, look, Alex cheated on me while we were together. When I was locked up, she was seeing other men. She wasn't holding me down, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that's why I ended it with her. The grandmother tells JK straight up, I don't like Brooke. I don't trust Brooke. I don't see her for Brooke. At some point, his cousin shows up. So his cousin shows up. They reunite. And then he goes off with his cousin. And he wants to use his cousin's phone to call Alex. And he wants to make sure that Alex doesn't show up at his welcome home party. So he calls Alex, talks to her. He's like, yeah, I'm still with Brooke. And I just want to make sure that you will not be at the welcome home party because I don't want no drama. Alex promises not to show up, whatever, whatever. And then he tells his cousin that, if he wants to talk to Alex, he's going to go through his cousin to talk to Alex. Basically try to use the cousin as the go-between if, whatever, if he wants to have a conversation with Alex. So after they leave the grandmother's house, they're driving now, and he wants to go back home because he doesn't want to miss his curfew because he's still on. He has a ankle monitor, so he doesn't want to miss his curfew. She wants to go back to her place so that he can meet the boys, her children. And he's like, I ain't got time for that. I got to go back to the house because I don't want to break my curfew. Because if I break my curfew, if I am 1 minute late, I'm going back to prison. She seems to not give a damn about any of that. She's like, well, my kids have been waiting. I got to go see my children. And he's like, do you really want to send me back to prison? Is that's what I'm hearing? Like, you don't even care. And she says, oh, I've been doing this and that for you. I took you to your parole office. I was waiting for you for 3 hours at your parole officer's building. And I'm taking you to your grandmother's house. And he made me wait outside. And you don't want to see my kids. And it seems like you don't care about me. You don't care about my children. So they get into this argument where she feels like she and her children are not a priority to him. I don't think this man has had time to process any of that. He's just worried about not going back to prison right now. And so I felt like it was a little bit selfish of Brooke to bring this whole thing up about meeting her kids and how her kids would not understand if they didn't go back if they didn't go home to meet them or whatever. I was just like, Brooke, yeah, I don't think he cares about that. I think he right now he just wants to stay out of prison. He doesn't want to break his curfew. There's plenty of time to meet your children. There's plenty of time for that girl. It doesn't have to be right now. So I thought it was really weird that she made such a big deal about him meeting her children like right then and there. But this has been building up with Brooke, where she felt like, he hasn't asked about her kids. He hasn't asked to speak to her children, to say hi to them, to FaceTime them at all. He hasn't brought up her children at all. So she's beginning to realize or beginning to think that, maybe he doesn't want to play daddy to my boys. Maybe he doesn't really see us as a family. Who knows? Moving on to Courtney and Will. So, after Courtney is released from prison, he has to take her to the parole office for her to get registered and whatnot. And she's really worried about some outstanding warrants that she has from the state of Washington. And she thought that when she goes into her parole office and registers, that they were going to run her information and see that she had these warrants in another state, and that they would rearrest her and send her back to prison. Or send her back to jail or whatever. So she's really worried about that. Her mom had no idea about these warrants, so her mom now is worried. Will knew, but he felt like it wasn't his place to tell her mom about it. So she goes inside, she takes care of business, she comes back outside, and everything was good. They tell her that these warrants are not extraditable, so it's not like Oregon can extradite her back to Washington. So she just has to take care of those warrants on her own. So that's wonderful. She really wants to get to back to the hotel to change her clothes, take a shower, and eat. She's hungry. And Will is like, no, we got to make one more stop. So he takes her in front of this humongous Christmas tree. And she's like, I don't care about the Christmas tree. I want to go to the hotel. I want to take a shower. I want to get changed. I want to eat. He's like, no, let's just, take a little detour. So in front of the Christmas tree, he forces her to come out. They're standing in front of this humongous Christmas tree, and he proposes to her. She does accept. She says yes. Her mother is there. She witnesses everything. Later on, her mother tells us that she's pissed. She is really pissed off that Will proposed to her daughter because she doesn't feel like Courtney is ready for that right now. Courtney has to get herself together. She has a lot of things to take care of to get her life back on track. And the last thing that she needs to be worried about is marrying some man that she met while she was in prison. So the mom was not feeling the proposal at all. They asked Courtney in her confessional, do you see yourself being married to Will for the rest of your life? And Courtney was like, I don't know. We'll see. Moving on from there. Savannah and Bradley. Snooze fest. Absolutely boring. Not much happened with Savannah and Bradley. They go to Bradley's welcome home party. And now we meet another one of Bradley's sisters who cannot stand Savannah. And the reason why she doesn't like Savannah is because she feels like Savannah is just not good for Bradley. So at this party, Savannah gets a chance to talk to... No, first, before we go there, Bradley talks to his younger sister, the one who doesn't like Savannah. Her name is Caddy. So Bradley's having a conversation with Caddy, and immediately he tells Caddy that, Savannah is a control freak. You know, she's trying to control every aspect of my life. She's a micromanager. I can't be on the phone without her looking over my shoulder, asking me who am I texting, who am I talking to. I can't do anything without her like right there in my face. So obviously, the sister doesn't like this. She feels like this much control will make Bradley completely unravel and will send him back to prison. So Caddy and Savannah have a conversation, and Savannah's like, let's just put it all out there. Like, what is your deal with me? I have no issues with you, but everyone is telling me that you're having issues with me, and I want to hear it directly from your mouth. What is your problem with me? And Caddy was like, well, my issue is that I feel like you're not good for my damn brother. You're too controlling, and there's a lot of drama around you. And my brother doesn't need that. And you're going to make my brother unravel, and he's going to make wrong decisions again, and he's going to end up in prison. So basically, she's trying to protect her brother. So we'll see how that goes. Whatever. Moving on to Joey and Michael. So Joey and Michael has been out for 4 hours, and you know, he's very rebellious. He doesn't want to be told what to do, doesn't want to be controlled. So when he checked into his halfway house, they told him that you have to be in by a certain time, you have a curfew, blah blah blah. Michael is like, bump all that. I'm going to do what I want to do. So he wants to go back to the hotel with Joey. And Joey's freaking out. He's like, look, I don't want you to go back to prison. I don't want you to get in trouble. I need you to call this halfway house and ask them if you can stay out tonight. He's like, no, I'm not going to bother asking them. I don't really care about it. You know, I don't care enough to want to ask anybody any permission to do anything. I'm going to do what I want to do. So then from there, they go to visit Michael's mother. So he reunites with his mother, very emotional reunion. He's very, very close to his mom. His mom loves him a lot, and his mom just wants him to do the right thing. So he tells his mom how the halfway house has all of these rules and regulations, and it's the same halfway house that he was at before. He's never really liked the place. He just wants to do his own thing. So his mom tells him, please, Michael, call the halfway house. Ask them for permission to stay out tonight. So he calls, no one answers, he leaves a message. He's like, you know what? They didn't answer. So that's basically letting me know that I can do what I want. So him and Joey leave. They go to the hotel. And as they're checking in, the managers of the halfway house, or the directors of the halfway house, they call him and they give him the green light. To let him know that, hey, it's okay for you to spend the night tonight. So they're all really happy about that. So then he has to go and check in. In order for him to not get in trouble, he has to go back to the halfway house and, you know, check in or do whatever. And as he's driving there, he's telling us that he thinks that Joey likes him. What did he say exactly? He thinks that Joey loves him in a different way than the way he loves Joey. Well, for one thing, I knew that Michael has no intentions of being faithful. I don't think he has it in him to be faithful. So if he's trying to let us know that he thinks that Joey loves him more than he loves Joey, yeah, I can believe that. Whenever I look at Michael, I'm like, he is like one breath away from going back to prison. Like, I don't really see him conquering his demons, because I don't think he really wants to conquer his demons. Being in prison has not been rock bottom for him. I think that he is going to continue, because of the fact that he shows no interest in trying to do the right thing. Like, he keeps on talking about how he's going to do what he wants to do and nobody can tell him otherwise. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you just purchased a ticket right back to prison pretty soon. And plus he said he's a habitual offender. He's been in and out of prison for so many years, for such a big part of his life. I don't think he knows any other way. I don't think it bothers him going to prison. As long as he can do what he wants to do, whatever that entails, going to prison to him is not a consequence. So yeah, it is what it is. That's my review. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.